Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and I'm really happy you're here today. If you're someone who is learning English and sometimes feels stuck because you don't have a teacher, today's episode is just for you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host. Yes, Jason, this is such an important topic. Many people think that without a teacher, it's impossible to learn English. But that's not true. In today's podcast, I'll share how I learned English without a teacher, and we'll give you some practical tips so you can do the same.
That's right, Julia. We want our listeners to know that learning English doesn't always require expensive classes or a private tutor. If you're motivated and you know how to practice, you can really make progress on your own.
Exactly. And the best part is, we'll keep the conversation simple and easy so that everyone, even beginner learners, can follow along and learn something new.
So, grab a notebook, relax, and let's dive into today's topic, how I learned English without a teacher. So, Julia, let's get into your story. You often say that you didn't have a teacher when you first started learning English. Can you tell us how it all began?
Yes, of course. When I was younger, I really wanted to learn English, but I didn't have the chance to go to an English class. There were no teachers around me, and my family couldn't afford private lessons. At first, I thought maybe it was impossible, but then I told myself, if I really want this, I have to try to do it on my own.
That must have been a little scary at the beginning, right?
Oh, definitely. I didn't know where to start. I only knew a few basic words like hello, thank you, and goodbye. I couldn't make full sentences. I remember listening to people speak English in movies, and I felt lost. But at the same time, I was excited. I wanted to understand.
That's so relatable. Many of our listeners probably feel the same way right now, confused but also curious.
Exactly. In the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I said words in the wrong order, or I pronounced them incorrectly, but I didn't stop. I used every chance I had, listening to English songs, reading simple words on product labels, or even just repeating what I heard in movies.
So you were basically creating your own small learning environment, even without a teacher.
Yes, that's right. I realized that the real teacher was my motivation and my practice. Every time I learned a new word, I felt proud, and that gave me the energy to keep going.
That's powerful, Julia. I think our listeners can learn from that. You didn't wait for the perfect time or the perfect teacher. You just started with what you had.
Yes, and that's my message to everyone listening. Don't wait. Even if you don't have a teacher, you can still start today. Just take one small step, like learning 5 new words or listening to a short English video. That's how my journey began.
Julia, I think many people are curious. When you decided to learn English on your own, what were your very first steps? How did you actually begin?
Good question, Jason. Honestly, I started very small. I didn't try to study everything at once. First, I focused on learning simple words, like numbers, colors, and everyday objects. I had a small notebook, and every day I wrote down 5 new English words.
That's a smart move, keeping it simple. Did you also practice pronunciation at that stage?
Yes, but it was not easy. I didn't know if I was saying the words correctly, so I used 2 tricks. One was listening carefully to how words sounded in movies or songs. The second was using an online dictionary with audio. I listened and repeated many times until I felt confident.
I love that. You were building a habit, not just studying randomly. And 5 words a day doesn't sound too hard.
Exactly. I think that's important. Don't try to learn too much at once. It's better to learn a little bit every day. That way you don't feel tired or stressed, and you can remember better.
That's a really good point. A lot of learners think they need to memorize hundreds of words at once. But you're saying, start small and be consistent.
Yes, and another small step I took was writing short sentences with the new words. For example, if I learned the word apple, I wrote I like an apple or the apple is red. Very simple, but it helped me connect the words together.
That's great advice, Julia. So, listeners, if you're starting without a teacher, remember Julia's first steps. Learn a few words each day. Repeat and practice pronunciation. Try making simple sentences.
Yes, and don't worry if your sentences are not perfect. What matters is that you are practicing. Little by little, you will improve.
Julia, after learning some basic words and sentences, how did you continue? I'm guessing listening played a big role in your journey, right?
Yes, Jason. Listening was one of the most important parts for me. At first, it was really hard. When I listened to English movies or songs, I understood almost nothing. But I didn't give up. I kept listening, even if I only understood one or two words.
That must have been frustrating. How did you stay motivated when you couldn't understand much?
It was frustrating, yes, but I told myself, this is training for my ears. Just like going to the gym, at first you feel weak, but if you keep practicing, you get stronger. I started with children's cartoons and short YouTube videos because they used simple English and spoke more slowly.
That's a smart choice. Children's shows are often easier to follow, and they repeat words a lot.
Exactly. Later, I also used subtitles. For example, when I watched a movie, I turned on the English subtitles. I listened and read at the same time. That helped me connect the sound of the word with how it looks in writing.
That's a very powerful technique. Did you repeat what you heard, or just listen?
I repeated many times. I would pause the video, say the sentence out loud, and then play it again. Sometimes I even recorded myself to compare with the original. It wasn't perfect, but it made me more confident.
That's a golden tip right there. Listeners, did you hear that? Don't just listen passively. Repeat and practice with the audio.
Yes, exactly. And I want to say this to everyone. Don't worry if you don't understand everything at first. Even if you catch just one new word each time, you are improving. Slowly, your brain will get used to the sounds of English.
That's such a good reminder, Julia. So to summarize, start with simple listening materials like cartoons or short videos, use subtitles, and practice repeating what you hear. Step by step, you'll train your ears to understand more and more. So, Julia, listening helped you a lot, but speaking is usually the hardest part for learners, especially without a teacher. How did you practice speaking on your own?
You're right, Jason. Speaking was the hardest part for me, too. At first, I was shy and afraid of making mistakes, but then I realized if I don't open my mouth, I will never improve. So I decided to practice speaking every day, even if I was alone.
That's interesting. How exactly did you practice by yourself?
I had 3 main methods. First, I practiced in front of the mirror. I looked at myself and tried to say simple sentences like, "My name is Julia," or "Today I feel happy." Looking at the mirror made me feel like I was talking to someone.
That's a clever trick. It builds confidence and also helps with body language.
Yes, exactly. The second method was recording my voice. I used my phone to record short messages, like describing my day or talking about something I saw. Then I listened to my recordings and compared them with how native speakers said similar sentences.
That's very powerful. Recording yourself makes you more aware of your pronunciation and mistakes.
Yes, and the third method was talking to myself during the day. For example, if I was cooking, I would say in English, "Now I cut the onion," or "The water is boiling." It sounds funny, but it really helped me think in English.
I like that, Julia. You made English part of your daily life. Even without a partner or teacher, you created opportunities to speak.
Exactly. And later, when I felt more confident, I also tried language exchange apps to practice with real people. But in the beginning, Talking to myself was the best practice.
That's such a great lesson for our listeners. So, if you don't have a teacher, don't wait. Start speaking with yourself. Use the mirror. Record your voice. And describe your daily activities in English.
Yes, and don't worry if you make mistakes. Mistakes are not the end. They are the beginning of learning.
Julia, we've talked about listening and speaking, but learning English also includes reading and writing. How did you improve those skills without a teacher?
That's a great question, Jason. For reading, I started very small. I didn't open big English novels right away. Instead, I read short and simple texts, like children's books, online articles, or even product labels in English.
That makes sense. Simple texts are easier to understand and less stressful for beginners.
Exactly. I remember reading short blog posts online and news headlines. Sometimes I didn't understand every word, but I tried to guess the meaning from the context, and I always kept my notebook nearby to write down new vocabulary.
That's a good strategy. You were building your vocabulary while also practicing reading.
Yes, and one more thing, I read out loud. Reading aloud helped me practice both reading and speaking at the same time.
That's excellent. It's like two skills in one practice.
For writing, I started with very small things too. I wrote 1 or 2 sentences about my day, like I woke up early today or I ate rice for lunch. Later, I turned this into a daily diary. It wasn't perfect grammar, but it gave me confidence.
That's inspiring, Julia. Writing even short sentences every day can make a big difference.
Yes, and later I also wrote simple comments in English on social media or YouTube videos. That was a great way to use my English in the real world.
I like that. So to summarize for our listeners, start reading small and simple texts, keep a notebook for new words, try reading aloud, and write short sentences or a daily diary. Over time, this will improve your reading and writing skills a lot.
Exactly, Jason. The most important thing is not perfection, it's practice.
Julia, so far your journey sounds very inspiring, but I'm sure learning English without a teacher was not always easy. What were the biggest challenges you faced?
Oh yes, Jason. There were many challenges. One of the biggest was not having feedback. When I spoke or wrote something, I didn't know if it was correct. Sometimes I worried that I was learning the wrong way.
That's a real problem. Without a teacher, you don't always know if your grammar or pronunciation is right. How did you deal with that?
I tried to check myself using online resources like grammar websites, dictionaries, and pronunciation apps. And later, when I met English speakers online, I asked them politely to correct me. It wasn't perfect, but it helped.
That's smart, using technology and real people to fill the gap. What about motivation? Did you ever feel like giving up?
Yes, many times. Sometimes I felt lonely because I was studying by myself, and sometimes I lost motivation when progress was slow. But I reminded myself why I was learning English. I wanted more opportunities in life, and that gave me energy to continue.
That's powerful, Julia. So listeners, remember this. Challenges will come, like no feedback, feeling lonely, or losing motivation. But if you keep your reason strong and use tools to support yourself, you can overcome them.
Exactly. The journey is not always easy, but it is worth it.
Julia, I think one of the hardest parts of learning any language alone is staying motivated. How did you keep going, even when it felt difficult?
That's true, Jason. Motivation was not always easy for me, but I discovered one secret. Consistency is more powerful than motivation. Some days I felt excited to learn, but other days I didn't. On those days, I still tried to do something small, like reading 1 page or listening to a 5-minute podcast.
That's a great point. So even when you didn't feel like studying, you still showed up and practiced a little.
Yes, I also made small goals. For example, This week I will learn 20 new words or I will watch one English video every day. Reaching those small goals gave me confidence, and that confidence gave me motivation to continue.
I love that. Small goals build small wins, and small wins create big progress.
Exactly. And one more thing, I celebrated progress. If I could understand a movie scene without subtitles, I smiled and told myself, well done. If I could write a diary entry, I felt proud. These little celebrations kept me motivated.
That's so encouraging, Julia. So, listeners, here's the lesson. Don't wait for motivation. Build habits, set small goals, and celebrate your progress. That's how you stay consistent on this journey.
Yes, and remember, English learning is not a race. It's a journey, step by step.
Julia, your story is really inspiring. But now let's make it practical. Many of our listeners are learning English without a teacher. What simple tips can we share with them to help on their journey?
Yes, Jason, I'd love to share. Tip number 1. Start with what you have. Don't wait for perfect books or expensive courses. Use free resources like YouTube videos, podcasts, or even English labels on food packages.
That's so true. Sometimes people think they need the best tools to begin, but the most important tool is consistency.
Exactly. Tip number 2. Practice every day, even if it's just 10 minutes. Short daily practice is more powerful than studying for hours once a week.
I like that. Daily practice builds a habit, and habits build fluency.
Tip number 3. Use all 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Don't just focus on one. For example, listen to a podcast, read a short article, write 2 sentences, and speak them out loud.
That's a great balance. And listeners, remember, you don't need a teacher to do this. You can do it all by yourself.
Yes. Tip number 4. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you are learning. If you wait to be perfect, you'll never speak.
That's such an important reminder. I often tell learners, your mistakes are your teachers.
Exactly. And finally, tip number 5. Make English part of your life. Change your phone language to English, write your shopping list in English, or think in English when you're walking. These small actions make a big difference.
Wonderful, Julia. So to repeat the tips for our listeners, start with what you have. Practice every day, even for 10 minutes. Use all 4 skills. Don't fear mistakes. Make English part of your daily life.
Yes, and if our listeners follow even 2 or 3 of these tips, they will see progress faster than they expect.
Julia, your journey is really inspiring. If you could go back in time, what would you do differently when learning English without a teacher?
That's a good question, Jason. I think if I could start over, I would speak more from the very beginning. At first, I was too shy and afraid of mistakes, so I delayed practicing speaking. If I had started earlier, I would have improved faster.
That makes sense. Speaking early is so important, even if it's just small sentences.
Yes, and I would also use more online resources right away. There are so many free apps, videos, and podcasts that can help beginners. I learned some things slowly because I didn't know about them at first.
That's great advice. So listeners, the key takeaway here is start speaking early and use all the tools available to you. Don't wait for the perfect moment or perfect resources.
Exactly, Jason. And one more thing, I would remind myself to celebrate small victories every day. Learning English alone can feel slow, but small wins make a big difference.
Absolutely. Small steps lead to big results. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Julia, thank you so much for sharing your story and practical tips on how to learn English without a teacher.
Thank you, Jason. I hope our listeners feel encouraged. Remember, you don't need a teacher to start. Motivation, practice, and consistency are your best teachers.
Exactly. Start small, practice every day, don't fear mistakes, and use the resources around you. Step by step, you'll see progress.
Yes, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Learning English is a journey, not a race. Celebrate your small wins and keep moving forward.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and keep practicing your English every day.
See you in the next episode, and remember, you can learn English on your own. Just start today.